everybody. Thanks for joining me. It's Molly again from the Scranton Valley Chamber, and we have another episode of Checking In with the Chamber. I am with Karen Pirko. Karen is the Director of Community Engagement at United Way, Geauga County. And Karen, we were just talking, you're new to this position, like right before the pandemic. Wow.
Yeah, I hardly remember what my office looks like. So it's been like I just said, hit the ground running, and it's been really, there's a lot of ways that it's beneficial because I was forced into learning it really quickly. I started in December, and 3 months later went into quarantine, and we're still working remotely until further notice. Hopefully August, but that's like everybody else, that's kind of the adjustment we make, and we learn how to adapt to it. So
it was probably a good thing because you probably got to, if there was somebody in the position during non-pandemic time, and then you move into pandemic time, you're always saying, well, the way that we did this before, or
for sure,
this is how we, but you don't have that. So you're probably able to be maybe a little bit more out of the box and creative because you're not stuck in that, well, no, but this is how we did it.
Right. Oh, for sure. Almost everything is different, right? So, basically, I mean, our vision and our mission hasn't changed. I mean, our role in Geauga County is to connect people in the county with resources that they need to improve their lives. So that hasn't changed. How we do it changed, and changes every day. So,
yeah,
it does let us be creative.
Exactly. Let's talk a little bit about that. How have you been able to maintain your mission and then abide by all these guidelines that you need to during the pandemic and be effective?
Sure. I mean, again, it's working virtually and being able to communicate just like we are now. But we also have the benefit of having, for example, our 211 help link. And if you don't know what 211 is, it serves 6 counties in Ohio, 1.5 million residents. The population serves. It's a free 24-hour access to folks who have a need, and they're connected with a staff member who can really help develop a plan for them, and again connect folks resources that they need. In March, the help link calls, 211 help link calls tripled from the need.
Wow. So what would be some of the needs that someone would call?
The biggest one was, folks like you and me who maybe have never experienced unemployment for the first time or now experiencing it. What do you do? How do you navigate that? So that was a big reason for calls. Obviously, the food assistance in finance, in income support, housing, those are the biggest ones. And those are the biggest ones we're seeing from Geauga County. There's been kind of a lull in calls recently. And I think it's because people are adjusting to all of this newness. But now, for example, utility companies are beginning to turn off power or shut electricity off as they would have perhaps in March but decided not to. So now there's a little bit of an uptick in the call. I don't mean a little bit, there's quite a large uptick in the calls, and it's financial assistance right now.
So then what do you have a list of food providers and places, so how do you then guide them to where they need to be, or who are your people that you then?
Well, so 211 is its own staff, and we're part of the Greater Cleveland Associate or Greater Cleveland United Way. So that staff works independently, but they refer them to our office has an aging disability resource center where we provide resources to folks 60 years and older or on disability, and we can help connect them to benefits and specialized assistance, or we can refer them to agencies who provide a service that they need. So if somebody were to call 211 and say they need perhaps mental health assistance, 211 would send them to us, and then we would refer them to we'll say Ravenwood perhaps.
Okay, so do you partner with these other places?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
We partner with 10 agencies in the county, provide some funding for them, but also help advocate for what they do, the greater good in our county, and connect them to other funding that is in the county. For example, in early response to COVID-19 came the Greater Cleveland Rapid Response Fund, and that is, I think, totaling like $8+ million in funding that has gone to Cuyahoga Lake and Geauga counties. And so our office is really working hard to again advocate and bring to light what these agencies do, so that the residents in our community get the resources that they need, because these agencies are able to fund it. And we've had Geauga Hunger Task Force, Women's Safe, Family Pride, and Ravenwood have all received funding to date from that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So those are things that happened because of COVID.
Right. And are you able to, with the job loss, are you able to assist people to get back on their feet? I mean, I know that there are a lot of positions that are available out there. And are you able to help them or guide them to where they could find employment?
Yeah, and that's what we would do is
Okay.
That's really the role, is that connector with a funnel, to from the people in need to the agencies or organizations that provide that service. So for sure, I would say because of COVID, homelessness has always been an issue in Geauga County. People don't see it like they see it in other communities, but I think because of COVID, it's even more pronounced, and people are living in their cars and couch surfing. So I think that how we see our role is to make sure that if somebody's calling because of that we can connect them with perhaps the folks that can help them get stable and have some sort of shelter for some period of time.
So you guys do, in the past, pre-COVID, you guys do a lot of, I know we participated in your Day of Action at the Scranton Falls Park Community Center. Obviously you can't do any of these things right now.
No.
Do you have some plans down the line on some events?
We actually, two things I'll share. Our Day of Action did take place. It morphed a million times. So because of COVID, so then we really had to get creative. What was that service project going to look like? So we broke it up into more of days of action, or we called it a summer of caring, where some of our volunteers made cards for nursing homes and assisted living. And that was really a fun morning of traveling throughout Geauga County, hand delivering these cards that were beautifully crafted by families and children and adults alike. We also are this Friday providing lunch for Job and Family Services as a thank you to what they do in our community with the help of Cowboy Food and Drink. So they are, and
can we just talk about them for a minute?
Yes. I mean, they're just the go-to, and the Schloss family. I don't know, Lee Schloss owns Pirko. They've funded it so for the lunch. So it's shout outs to both of them.
Yeah, I gotta take a little bit of ownership on that, because
go for it.
For the Day of Action, Andrea, or I think it was Betsy at the time that was working with you guys, came to the chamber and said, how can we do this? And I knew Cowboy was just so loving and giving, so I made that connection. So
yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thanks to the chamber.
So we carry on that tradition, and they've been really patient with us, because even JFS hasn't had their full staff there. So, could we wait another week? And, they're just really patient. So fingers crossed that's happening this Friday.
Oh, great.
And then another really great thing that's come from this is The United Way provides administrative assistance for the Geauga Hunger Task Force. And some of the ways we do this are by coordinating food drives, volunteer recruitment. So that sort of spearheaded this program that's running right now. It started in June. It's Farmers to Families, a weekly food distribution event. It's a drive-through food distribution every Wednesday from 4 to 6 at the Geauga Fairgrounds. It's hands or touchless. The food is phenomenal. We've already distributed 1,600 boxes to date from June. I mean, that's pretty incredible. Each person that registers gets a box of produce and a box of dairy products.
And who's in partnership with the farm?
It's all over
Okay.
because it's we're in partnership with the Cleveland Food Bank and the local Geauga Food Pantry. So Cleveland Food Bank really provides the transportation of the food, but it's all locally farmed. We're hoping that it goes through August, providing produce is available and funding's available, but it's a really great day. So that was another, we kind of linked that to our day of action, and we provide the volunteers on a weekly basis. So it's a good problem to have, but sometimes I have to shift people because we've got so many volunteers that want to help at this event. So I do have to share, though, if you know of anybody, or if you can share, that folks can register through the 211 help link, or they can register through wefeedgeauga.org. They have to register on a weekly basis. So, but it's awesome. Just a really, it's just cars line up. They start lining up at 3 o'clock and pick up their food and head on out. And the library is also, the Library Foundation is also doing a book distribution that same day.
So you have to pre-register though.
You do every week. Every week, but and if there's folks that want to volunteer, they can contact me for sure.
Okay, that's so awesome.
Make it happen. Yeah, so those are kind of fun things, and I think that, like I said, our day of action morphed so many times, but that really was a unique way to kind of highlight the cool things that are happening in the county because of COVID. So.
Yeah, and I do think that there are so many silver linings throughout this pandemic. You just, you got to keep your eyes open and look for them, and B, you have to do it or work it or pivot it. And so do you see any of these things that you have implemented, you see any of them kind of continuing on past the COVID?
I mean, I hope that there is a past the COVID sometime soon. With that said, I mean, I think definitely the food distribution, it's just given a unique way, and that the food pantries can be involved. They also get the produce and the dairy, but they can send their clients to this additional resource, so it's kind of a cool thing to see. We also have our Bridges at Work program that's continuing strong, and I don't know if you
tell us a little bit about that.
So it's a collaborative program through United Way, Catholic Charities, the Geauga Credit Union, and Geauga Growth Partnership. Businesses who participate in this program they benefit by having an on-site coordinator that comes to businesses and can provide employees with, or connect them with, resources and services in the county that will help them address personal life issues. So they're not HR issues, they're personal life issues that get in the way of their day-to-day work. So the Geauga Credit Union, for example, upon approval, provides one of the most successful resources, which is the same-day loan. And they can get qualify to get a $1,000 loan that can help fix their car if it's broken so they don't miss work. So these kinds of things went remote. So our site coordinator was not, of course, able to go into businesses. So it showed us a new way of perhaps her ability to connect with employees in each business by doing it virtually. And that could continue. And I think we're looking at what that's going to look like going forward. So it's not necessarily saves on drive time, saves on mileage. It doesn't mean that will eliminate those things, but it's just another facet that that really makes it possible to reach more businesses, employees, keep the workforce going. So
awesome. I mean, you have to just not stop, like you can't, because there are people that depend on the United Way in Geauga County. So it's not like you could say, oh, this pandemic is just too much and we need to stop. I mean, you guys have had to think extra hard and out of the box to take care of the folks there in Geauga County. So
right. We've been busier. I at least I have been busier than I've ever think I've been in a work setting.
Yes, and we didn't think we could fit it in before, right?
Right.
We were super busy then.
Yeah. Although we're working from home, and I think I'm so focused because I don't have coworkers to sit and chat with.
You know what? 100%. We're still also working from home, and I have that conversation with my assistant all the time. It is just when this does come back and we do choose to get back into the office, there's going to be, I think it would be you're in on 2 days a week, I'm in on 2, because it does, unfortunately. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, unfortunately, I think with both our jobs, face-to-face is super, super important.
Yeah.
And I think that through the pandemic, you got to do what you have to do to keep being relevant and keep making a difference in this world. But there will be a day that we get back, I think, and when we're face-to-face, it's gonna be different. But we'll get back to that.
Yeah, we have our annual meeting is going to be held, and I would invite you to share it. I invite you to join us too. It's going to be a virtual event in September 22nd, and it's we're going to have a panel discussion, and it's going to be systemic racism in Geauga County and how it affects Geauga, not necessarily in Geauga County, but how it affects Geauga County. So we're really looking forward to that. Very hot topic.
Great.
We don't want to talk so much about COVID, but we do want to hear, how where we've been and how we're going. We've got Tom Quaid, the health commissioner, is going to join us for a little bit. We're still fine tuning the rest of our panel, but
where can folks go and find out?
I'll share that information with you.
Great.
We'll have links to register for it. So we're in the preliminary panelist stage right now, but looking forward to that on the 22nd of September. So.
Okay, we're actually having ours this Thursday.
Okay.
It was March 12th, the day that the governor shut everybody down, or at least announced that he was shutting everything down in a couple days. So we actually were at the cinema this morning, picking up the swag bags because we have to use them. It was at the Sugar and Cinema, and we just walked in, and it's a time warp. I mean, it's set up because it was that day that we canceled it, so it's all set up still for our event. Yeah, it's great. Like, we walked in there and we were just like, it was just so eerie.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're having it at the Sugar and Cinemas. I mean, it was at the Sugar and Cinemas. We're having it at the Mayfield Drive-In.
Oh, that's
so it is
awesome.
kind of all virtual, but we do have some fireworks during our intermission. We have an interview with Rick Perello, who is the gentleman. He is a crime boss, or a organized crime historian, and wrote the book about Danny Green, that Kill the Irishman, which then we're showing to end the evening.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So everything's kind of pre-recorded, which would have been live at the theater.
Right.
And we gave out our Business of the Year award and all those awards. That's all kind of been pre-done, which we will watch on the big screen. And so you just have to, you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
You just have to figure it out. And again, if you are not, and you think, if in March you were like, this will go away soon, let's just stay status quo, you missed the boat. Because
I think that's just the way to look at it in general, is that you can't stand status quo. You've got to always be thinking a little bit more creatively and how we'll evolve, but still keeping true to your mission and what you do in the general sense of the United Way, for example. But how can we just continue to reach more in a different way, perhaps,
Yeah, I have been so proud of our chamber members, United Way, Geauga included, to watch the greatness that is coming out of this pandemic, and the small businesses they're knocking it out of the park. I mean, don't get me wrong, they are suffering for sure.
Yeah.
But our nonprofits and our businesses and our services, they're doing what they need to do so that at the end of this, they're still standing. So
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. So
thank
what's
you,
the
Molly.
website? Where could people find you on a website?
unitedway.geauga.org.
Okay.
My email is kpirko@uws.org.
And I will put it all right up there through
and
editing.
I don't know if I gave you a chance to write down the registration email or information for the Farmers to Family Food Distribution, but it's wefeedgeauga.org. They can register there if you want to share that, and or at 211. If they call 211, just dial 211.
211. Yep. No, nothing else. Well, thank you so much. This has been,
you, Molly.
It's always good just to have a reminder that these services are available for people, especially during this time, like you said, for people who this is a new world for them. Sure. Unemployment, maybe needing food services, new insurance and stuff like that. I mean, for a lot of people, their lives have been turned upside down. So thank you to everyone there and your staff for doing what you do to take care of our residents there in Geauga County.
You too, Molly. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a great day.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.